blood-curdling stories that came out of that. Thankfully, it ended, and there have been a number of peaceful transitions of power since then, but the system really never changed. The same kinds of issues are faced today. Friends of San Lucas, based here, as I said, nonprofit. We have 3 full-time and 2 part-time employees, board of directors, usual kind of nonprofit organization. In Guatemala, we have about 110 employees, the mission does. All of the programming in Guatemala is run by Guatemalans. I don't need to be there to run any programming. In fact, we really try and take very much of a backseat to anything that's going on there. We want the face of all the programming to be a Guatemalan face. We want all the services to be delivered by Guatemalans to Guatemalans. Currently, we have programs in education, a women's center, coffee, healthcare, construction, a charity with dignity program, and a visitors program, and I'll talk more about all of those. First is the school. We have a school that has about 650 students. It started 53 years ago or so. We go up through grade 6, which is typically the age that most kids leave school. That's not why we stop there, but average age of leaving school in Guatemala is 11. The pressure to go out and do whatever you can for your family is really strong. And so it's unusual for students to go much past that. We do Montessori classrooms for pre-K and kindergarten, and then this year started with first grade. Our hope is to keep expanding the Montessori program into the higher grades. It's a phenomenal program. You know, it's funny, in the US, we associate Montessori with kind of wealthy kids. You know, it's the wealthy kids that do. Montessori was designed to be a program to educate poor people. And it's completely, flipped in terms of the United States.
And special needs.
Yeah. And so it's really an amazing program. Most of our kids receive scholarships. They can attend the school for a relatively modest cost or almost free.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but is it your organization that supplies the scholarships, or where do they get the scholarships?
Yeah, I mean, we just have individuals here who want to provide scholarships for students, and for $200 a year, their tuition is basically covered.
Okay.
Yeah. Another program we have is a women's center. This was one of Father Greg's final dreams. He saw the building completed before he died. Opened in 2011. And the women's center is really, it's interesting. Guatemala is a very patriarchal culture. It's actually pretty unusual to have a place where women can go. Most women, once you're married, you essentially do not leave the home. Your work is to cook food and take care of the family, and there's almost nothing available for you once you are married. The Women's Center really tries to break that mold and provide a place that is safe and non-threatening for women to gather. We have some classes there. There are weaving, sewing, and cooking classes. And then there's a little store where anything that a woman makes, they can sell directly. They get all the money for that. This is not a money-making venture for us at all. All the money that a woman gets when she sells something goes to her. And last year that generated about $12,000 worth of income spread over the 180 or so women that participate in that program. Coffee. Excuse me. If you're doing really well in San Lucas, you have a plot of land that might be the size of this room upon which you live. You might have another piece of land the size of this room on which you can grow food. And then if you're really lucky, you're going to have another chunk of land about the size of this room on which you will grow coffee. And coffee will be your only source of income. And it might net you a few $100s a year. And that's your only cash crop. They do this in soil that is remarkably fertile. They grow it on mountainsides where you literally will be on the mountain, holding onto a plant, weeding over your head. That's how steep the land is. And everything is grown with 2 tools. So if any of you have been farming and you have, we have these $250,000 combines, etc. You need two tools to farm in Guatemala: a hoe and a machete. And that is literally it. And that will get you where you need to go. So coffee as a cash crop is really important, but the coffee market is crazy. It's a commodities market all over the place. And you know, when we go to the coffee shop and pay $3, $4, $5 for a cup of coffee, pennies of that is getting to the grower. So the model that we use is called the direct trade model, and there's a couple of components that are really important. One is we never pay below a minimum price for coffee, no matter what the market is doing. So this year, coffee harvest season is December, January, February. December, the market price was 110 quetzales for 100 pounds of ripe coffee, which is about $15. Okay, we don't pay less than 30. So it doesn't matter what the street price is, we don't pay less than that minimum, and then we get everybody's best coffee. And then should the market price rise to that minimum, we pay a percentage above. At 200 quetzales for 100 pounds, or about $30 for 100 pounds, you can survive. I'm not going to pretend it's fairer, it's more just. Is it a living wage? We wouldn't consider it a living wage. But it's better than half of that. Absolutely better. And at half of that, you're losing money. And of course, we live in an agricultural community. Everyone understands, agriculture is a tough, tough business. But you can't survive if every year you're selling your crop for less than what it costs to produce it. And so this is an important piece. We only buy from small growers. We don't buy from plantations. We don't buy from coffee fincas. We buy from small growers. We support about 100 families a year by doing this. And the more coffee we sell, the more families we support. We don't make a profit on the coffee. In fact, we probably lose money on the coffee. But the whole model is to support as many families as you can, because if this is your only cash crop, this is what stabilizes communities. This is what allows people to live where they want to live and survive. And so it's a really important piece of the program. We have a healthcare program. This is Dr. Rafael Toon. He's a native of San Lucas, and he's our medical director. There's a couple of different components to the healthcare program. One is a clinic. We have a clinic that has ultrasound, x-ray, consultations, pharmacy, maternity, delivery systems, and ER, ambulance services, and dentistry and podiatry. About 24,000 patient visits in 2019 in all areas of healthcare in a population of 40,000. So this has a huge impact on that community. So the clinic is one piece of the program. Second piece is the health promoter program. These are some of the 50 or so health promoters. These are folks who live in the communities, and each community has 2 to 3 health promoters that live there. They're modestly educated. These folks might have a 3rd or 4th grade education, but they've been trained to identify certain diseases, to administer a child nutrition program. And the model of this, and I get no credit for any of this stuff, but this is extraordinarily impactful. The child nutrition program alone has reduced deaths by child malnutrition by 80% in children under 5. And it's all run by these just incredibly committed people. And this was developed through an association we have with Stanford University and a pediatrician who's a faculty member there. But in addition to doing child nutrition, they focus on respiratory disease, diarrhea, skin disease, chronic illnesses. We've started a diabetes program, and there's a number of other initiatives that are part of what they do. And they do that for basically as volunteers. In the third component of the healthcare program are visiting medical, dental, and surgical